What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today is another episode of The Drive-In, where I review recent movies in theaters, or in this case, on media apps, streaming services, where I talk to you guys about recent releases and give my opinion on them, whether you should watch them or not. I usually specialize in horror, so today I'm reviewing a very talked about movie that came kind of out of nowhere, with no hype, to Netflix recently. Just got to Netflix. I'm talking about 2019's The Perfection. The Perfection is directed by Richard Shepard, written by Shepard as well, and Eric Charmello and Nicole Snyder, starring Allison Williams of Get Out fame, and Logan Browning and Steven Weber. And this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this overall. This is a horror thriller drama kind of movie. There's a lot of genre bending here. I won't spoil anything, so you guys can. It's a pretty recent release, so if you guys have not seen The Perfection yet, I will talk non-spoilers first, and then later in the video I'll warn you guys, and I'll talk spoilers at the end for those of you that haven't seen it. So non-spoiler, The Perfection is a horror thriller drama about a prized, I guess you'd call him a cello. I guess was it cello, violin, some musical prodigy. So there was an old school prodigy, a girl played by Allison Williams, who used to be a prodigy, who went away to take care of her sick grandmother, and she now returns to the old music factory and comes across the newest musical prodigy in this conservatory, where there are some very strict instructors who use some very vile methods to teach their students how to learn music. So the old prodigy comes across the new one, and they have a very explosive relationship. And through that relationship, there are a lot of twists and turns, and that's pretty much all I can say in the non-spoiler aspect. What I can say is Allison Williams of Get Out is phenomenal in this. The acting in general here is excellent. Steven Weber has like 70 credits between movie, TV, and theater. I think more than 70 probably. Very well known for a bevy of things. Logan Browning was known for a Netflix series as well called Dear White People, I believe it was called. All three of them are the stars of this thing, and they're excellent. Nice portrayal of romance, of drama. There's a big variance in this. It starts out kind of lighthearted and gets kind of intense pretty fast, and then it gets kind of on the horror thriller side, and all three of them just shine brightly throughout this. There are some pretty intense things and some pretty, I don't want to say far-fetched things they're asked to do, but they do it very, very well. Camera work-wise, it doesn't stand out. The locations and cinematography don't stand out as being like special, but they're solid throughout. The camera work is good. There's a couple nice outdoor scenes that capture ambiance well. They do a couple of tricks with some spinning shots, some circular shots, stuff like that. There are some unique shots throughout this that must have been challenging, and they're done very well. So good camera work here. Locations were solid. And the gore I thought was good. There wasn't a whole lot of gore except for a couple of particular parts. There are a couple effects and a couple of gore things. They're spread out throughout the movie, but when they're prevalent on screen, they really stand out. There's a scene with some bugs that I won't spoil. That looks really good. There are a couple of really intense blood things where there's some blood splatter and some limb things in this movie, and they are done very, very well. So again, while the camera tricks and while the effects and things aren't used too often, they're used in the right places, and they look very realistic and are done well in a very extreme situation. All of the different I can't say too much in the non-spoiler section, but all the different effects that are needed are done very well. Also, this thing is twisty. This thing, it starts out being one story, and in the first chapter of it, I guess it's broken down like 3 or 4 different chapters. In the first chapter, it seems very obvious what's going to happen to me. I predicted the first one very, very quickly, and they reveal that first twist in the first half an hour, and you're like, wait a minute, okay, that was the twist. I knew it was coming. So what are they going to do to fill the last hour of this thing? It's an hour and a half long. And they do continue to fill it out with different twists. It goes in different directions. So it takes what you think is the obvious path. You're probably going to guess the first one if you've watched enough horror movies and thrillers. But you probably won't guess the second and third twist as to why these things happen. So it's a nice conjoined story in which each chapter is well paced and keeps you going, because each thing kind of happens quickly and you're like, whoa, what are they going to do to pad this runtime? And there's not a lot of filler. It is pretty action intensive. And even in the scenes when they're just building up to it, they do a nice job with building tension for this. So all in this, pretty powerful. They take a pretty conventional trope and they do some nice things with it. It's not going to be the #1 movie you see this year, but it is a pretty twisted, pretty intense, pretty disturbing movie for Netflix, and they don't hold back on it. So, all in all, I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. Highly recommend. I would say it's in my top 6 or 7 horror films this year so far. It certainly belongs in the top 10 and might even be there by year's end. So, 7 out of 10, I recommend this. Now, for those of you that have not watched it and you're going to watch it, turn this review off and go watch it, and then come back, because now I'm going to give the spoilers. Okay, spoiler section, here we go. Steven Weber's character, who's the big musical genius with his factory of teachers, they have these young children, child prodigies, come in and play music for them. And if the children screw up, then Steven Weber's character and his whole concierge, his whole alignment of people, all get naked and gang rape these little girls. Really sick, right? Didn't expect that at all. That's sort of the background of the story. So, long story short, the main girl, Allison Williams, she quit years ago to go tend to her sick grandmother. When she came back and saw the new prodigy, played by Logan Browning, she fell for her and wanted to save her. So she poisons her, basically, and makes her cut off her own arm. So you see her cutting off her arm. And you're thinking, like I'm thinking at first, okay, she sabotaged her because she was jealous and she got the life she never got, that Allison Williams never got, so she's jealous. So that's the first chapter. Then in the second chapter, you find out that the girl gets kicked out of the conservatory after she no longer has her arm. And then it's revealed that she was trying to save her. She was doing the right thing because she had to find a way that the conservatory would no longer want to have her there and gang rape her and abuse her like that. So she made her cut off her arm to try to save her. And then in the third chapter and twist, Logan Browning's character captures Allison Williams, takes her back to the conservatory, and they tie up Allison Williams and threaten to gang rape a kid if she misplays a note. And then Logan Browning actually is working with Allison Williams to go inside and get revenge on the entire conservatory. So they hide that from you until the end. So again, lots of sick twists here. Lots of good gore at the end. They effectively use flashbacks to show you kind of unveiling this. And then they actually rewind part of the story and go back and fill it in and show you how these plans were set up. So you have a setup for each thing and then a twist toward the end of the scene to show these different things. So there's each thing kind of has their own twist with really good characters, well developed, and when it comes to the gore and the prosthetics with the cut off hands, and toward the end, Allison Williams gets her arm slashed. They spare no expense with that. They spare no expense with a lesbian love story when Allison Williams and Logan Browning fall for each other and go have sex and have a torrid love affair for a few weeks. And at one point, Logan Browning gets sick. She's getting poisoned by Allison, so she's puking up bugs, and you see throw up and worms and all these bugs crawling out of her arm. And there's all this really cool effects mashed up with character development, mashed up with twists that are well done. So for those reasons, absolutely 7 out of 10. If you enjoy twists and you enjoy good gore and you enjoy being taken down a windy path that goes to a little sick place, but takes a nice twist on what normally would be a standard rape revenge movie. There's a lot of these femme fatale rape revenge seeking movies, if I could say a mouthful there. And this is done really well with characters you care about and twists that actually make sense. So 7 out of 10. Go check this out. If you guys have seen it, tell me in the comments below what you think. I would love to hear your opinions. And what else on Netflix should I review? Take care.